Good morning. Welcome to Breakfast with Ken for Tuesday, June 15th, 2021. We're brought to you by the great people at Today's Dentistry, Dr. Mike O'Neill, the best that there is. If you got a chance to hire the best dentist in the world, why wouldn't you? All you have to do is call him, 317-849-2933, in order to get that done. Like this video if you enjoy it. Let's talk about sports, shall we? The Pacers likely to draft 13th this year in the NBA draft. 92.9% likely to have the 13th overall pick. And you think the 13th overall pick, what the hell can you get with the 13th overall pick? Let's talk about the 13th overall pick. All right? In 2015, Devin Booker was the 13th overall pick. Would you like to have Devin Booker today? Yes, you would like to have Devin Booker. How about 2017? Donovan Mitchell, taken by the Denver Nuggets and then spun to the Utah Jazz. Would you like to have Donovan Mitchell playing for the Indiana Pacers today? Yes, you would. How about 2019, Tyler Hansbrough? Now with the Miami Heat, would he be a good fit for the Indiana Pacers? Yes, he would. How about we go back to 1996? Who was taken with the 13th overall pick? Kobe Bean Bryant. You can get greatness at number 13. You could also, if you're the Pacers, you've got a 1% chance to move up to the top spot in the draft, a 1.1% chance to move up to the 2 spot, a 1.2% chance to move up to the 3 spot, and a 1.4% chance to move up to the 4 spot. How about that? So you got a chance. You also have a small percent chance, 2.3% chance to move down to 14 if the Golden State Warriors net one of those top 4 spots in the NBA lottery, which is going to be held a week from tonight. Love the lottery, especially when the Pacers are in it. It's the only thing we really have to look forward to. As we see others, right? As we see the Hawks with Nate McMillan at the helm, winning in the postseason. As we listen or see on social media, Myles Turner whine about not being named to the all-defensive team in the NBA. Instead of talking about how they're going to make the playoffs next year, he's talking about how he's going to be an all-defensive player and he's going to take it out of the hands of the voters. What are we doing? Why don't we whine about the right thing, right? Didn't make the playoffs. Should have made the playoffs. Why is that not the focus for Myles Turner instead of not making the all-defensive team? I hate that crap. Always whining about the personal instead of the team. I don't like it. Let's talk about the Colts and Carson Wentz. If the Colts are going to be any good this year, and by any good I mean a Super Bowl contending team, Carson Wentz has got to be one of the top 10 quarterbacks in the NFL. If he's not, it's a non-starter. What are we even talking about? There's no chance for the Colts to go to a Super Bowl if Carson Wentz isn't a top 10 quarterback in the league. So here are the rankings of the top 10 quarterbacks in the NFL as decided by the editors, the sports editors at CBS Sports. You've got Kyler Murray at number 10. I think Carson Wentz can supplant Kyler Murray. I think he could be a better basketball player this year than Kyler Murray. Justin Herbert at number 9. Quarterback for the Chargers entering his second year. I think Carson Wentz could be the 9th best. I think that he could trump both Murray and Herbert. How about number 8, Lamar Jackson? Now we're getting a little bit shakier. Number 7, Dak Prescott. Ooh. All right. Well, maybe. Number 6, Deshaun Watson. All right. Number 5, Josh Allen. I think that that's the absolute ceiling for Carson Wentz. I think Carson Wentz and Josh Allen are very, very similar. I think that Carson Wentz and Andrew Luck are very, very similar. Carson Wentz can create first downs with his feet. 25 of them last year for the Eagles. That's a lot of moving the sticks that the Colts acquired when they traded for Carson Wentz as compared to what Phillip Rivers did last year, which was net 0 first downs at all with his feet. Love Phillip Rivers. Great last year, as good as anybody had a right to hope. But Carson Wentz is going to have to be better than Phillip Rivers. The top 4 quarterbacks, you've got Brady, Wilson, Rodgers, and Mahomes. I'm sorry. Carson Wentz doesn't have the game to fall into that strata. He is not going to be on the Mount Rushmore of NFL quarterbacks, current NFL quarterbacks. That is just not going to happen. at the age of 28. If that was going to happen, it would have happened, right? I don't think it's going to happen. And you really need to kind of get to that level in order to get your team to the Super Bowl. But you can do it if you've got a team that gets to opposing quarterbacks like it's their job. So if you've got Carson Wentz playing somewhere in the back half of the top 10 among NFL quarterbacks, and you've got Kwity Paye, Hurricane Dio, Al-Qadim Muhammad, Taekwon Lewis, Kamoko Toure, Ben Banigou, for goodness sake, if you've got those guys, along with DeForest Buckner and Grover Stewart, getting to opposing quarterbacks, asserting their will on opposing quarterbacks, and putting opposing quarterbacks in a position to make premature and bad decisions with the football, you can win a Super Bowl. If you don't, you're not going to be able to rely on Wentz in the way that, say, the Chiefs rely on Patrick Mahomes, the Bucs rely on Brady, the Packers rely on Rodgers. It's just not going to happen. Got to get great defense in addition to Carson Wentz playing 17 games as well as he possibly can. And if he doesn't play 17 games, then all of a sudden you're hoping Jacob Eason's got what it takes to lead a team to wins. And we haven't seen him take a snap yet in anything but a red jersey at practice. So a lot to be proven by Jacob Eason and, frankly, by Carson Wentz. I want to talk about rules for a minute. The NBA is talking about implementing a rule that would penalize a player for an unnatural motion during a shot. I smell more replays. I don't like replay. And I don't like referees being put in a position where they've got to evaluate where players are psychologically and what their motive is in what they do. Because then you're in a gray area, and I do not like that at all. But that's where the NBA is headed because players will do it. And we used to see Reggie do it, kick out his leg as he shot awkwardly. And we still see guys do that a lot. Is that really a thing? Do we want to get into that if you're the NBA? I hate that kind of rule. You know, if you're thinking about this, we're going to penalize you. And the only way we know if you're thinking about it is going to the replay booth or going to the Secaucus and having them evaluate where your leg position is, blah, 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 blah. Same thing with baseball. I mean, baseball is sticky substances in order to elevate spin rate and make the ball do unnatural things. Can we just not cheat? Can we just play the damn games and do our best to play as well as we can and trust that that's good enough to win, good enough to get us a big, giant salary and get us W's? What are we doing? Are we that morally bankrupt that if you ain't cheating, you ain't trying? Do we really adopt that as our ethos in sports? It's pathetic. I want to talk about sports media for a minute. I neglected yesterday afternoon. I talked about sports media kind of at length and a lot of the people who create sports media in central Indiana. And I omitted some people because, look, it's 20 minutes. I do this extemporaneously. And so I forgot some guys. It doesn't mean I don't respect them. Mark Boyle, I have ultimate respect for as a broadcaster. I think he's the best radio play-by-play guy of any sport in the country that I've heard. He is a fantastic broadcaster, and we are so lucky to have him here in central Indiana. He sounds like the Pacers, right? Howard Kellman has been doing Indianapolis Indians games. The Hall of Famer has been around for about a half century of Indians games. Love Howard Kellman. Don Fisher has been doing Indiana basketball and Indiana football for about a half century. He is the soundtrack of Indiana athletics. He has come to define what Indiana football and Indiana basketball sound like when you hear Don Fisher on the radio. You feel like you're in Indiana. I used to drive from Chicago into Indiana so I could hear Don Fisher do football and basketball games. When you hear him, you feel like you're home if you're an Indiana University graduate. Don Fisher is fantastic at what he does. He's that guy in Indiana for Indiana. Like Ernie Harwell was for the Tigers, Jack Brickhouse was for the Cubs, Jack Buck was for the Cardinals. Don Fisher is the gold standard. he's not even a gold standard. He's just the standard. His voice is Indiana athletics, and it's phenomenal. He's still doing it at a really, really high level. Also neglected to mention JoJo Gentry, who does terrific work for Fox 59 and CBS 4. Nothing but respect for JoJo. I think I got virtually everybody else. I don't think I forgot anybody else. But, man, making money, earning a living in sports media is really, really, really tough. Really hard. And the economic platforms are on such shaky ground economically. It is really a tough deal. It's hard to do. And for those who do it, you know what, if people wanted me to crap on any of those people, I absolutely refuse. I'm not going to be negative about people who do that for a living and work really hard day after day after day after day in order to create something that makes sports more interesting and more fun for us to watch. And that's what we've got in Central Indiana. Good for us. Now, if I was going to talk about Chicago sports media, a couple of guys I got an issue with, but I'm not going to share who those are at this point. Maybe one day. There's one guy who's so full of himself that he drives me completely out of my mind in Chicago. I used to have him as a guest periodically, and he'd hijack the segment. I did not enjoy having that guy on the radio, and I don't like listening to him on the radio. Anyway, Scott DeVries, happy birthday, Nancy Guyot, Wyatt Sprague, Mindy Workman, Adam Licklider, Liam McKiernan, and the great truth, Kyle Miller, celebrating a birthday today. If today's your birthday, you celebrate like hell. If it's not your birthday, you celebrate somebody else. That is best done with an honest and specific compliment. Today, inside Indiana Sports Now, we're going to talk about all kinds of stuff. And one of the things that maybe we'll discuss a little bit, we touched on this morning, and that's morality in sports. If you ain't cheating, you ain't trying, is just a crappy way to think about life and about sports, and it's a rotten way to make a living. So we may talk a little bit about that. Russ Dodge, how you doing? Kent Barth, how you doing as well? We'll do that this afternoon. Looking forward to it.